I think the one major criticism I have of Mormonism is that it is based on half-truths and outright lies. And anybody who examines the history of the church carefully, how it came to be, will see the deceit and the lying. And it's the discovery of the deceit and the lying, I think, that makes so many former Mormons so angry and bitter against the church. The church often tries to say that people leave the church because they were offended, as though people shouldn't be offended at being lied at and deceived.
I'm sitting here on Temple Square in front of the church administration building and across from the church office building, and what comes to my mind is the fact that I worked for 27 years for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I felt like I was living the law of consecration. I was giving 100% of my effort to prepare young Israel to take over the reins of leadership, to build the kingdom of God on earth, and to prepare young men to go on missions, and young men and young women to marry in the temple for time and all eternity, and to raise forever families. And I did try hard to be the very best teacher that I could. And what comes to my mind is that I taught things that weren't true. And I participated in giving kids information, spinning facts a certain way so that they would believe. I remember sitting in a church education system faculty meeting one time and discussing if a young man had to go on a mission in order to make it to the celestial kingdom. And some of us said, of course not. Others in the group protested and said, but you would never teach that out loud in class, would you, to your students? That they could still make it to the celestial kingdom and not serve a mission? Otherwise, they might not choose to serve a mission.
I wasn't proud that I'd been on a mission. I was proud before, but I wasn't now, because I'd gone out and told people that the Book of Mormon was authentic, ancient American history, and now I knew that it was not, that it was a fraud. And I helped convert people to Mormonism, and usually they both aren't converted. Just the wife usually comes in, and then she wants a temple marriage, so she divorces her husband. And so I broke up a lot of families.
Until you come out of Mormonism, you do not realize how affected your psyche is by the cult tactics. Even just recently, we were out with some friends that are not Mormon, and I was watching them, and you know, they know who they are, and they're comfortable in their own skins, and they're not afraid of being who they are. And I look at myself and think, I've missed out on all those formative years because I was Mormon. I was taught, this is how you are, this is who you will be, and I was never allowed to find out who I wanted to be.
Religion is different things for different people. I mean, for me, to realize that Joseph Smith didn't really have these experiences, that he didn't really find the plates, he didn't really read through the Urim and Thummim, that kind of stuff is irrelevant to some people.
My mom sends me these 2 books. I call her, I say, Mom, you know, thanks for the present. You know, I actually have these already, but thanks anyway. But since you've sent them to me, you know, it would really mean a lot to me if we could talk about a few of the things in these books. And I said, like, there's some disturbing things in the Dean Jesse book that to me suggest that there's a real problem here. And she said, I don't want to talk about that. And I said, but you sent me the book. And she said, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, I already know that this is everything. I don't want to talk about it. And just like, and I said, and in that moment I realized, and I said to her, Mom, you've never read these books, have you? She said, no.
We've had lots of opportunities to talk, not only about my decisions, but about my parents' decisions in regards to the church. And what I've come to find out is they don't believe it's true either. You know, speaking for them and the things that they've said to me, they don't believe it's true. But staying in church for them is all about family. It's all about the tradition. It's all about living a good moral life, and this is the tradition they were raised in, and since they don't believe any church is true, then this is as good as any, but actually better for them because this is the religion they were raised in.
I thought that having worked this out for myself, all I would need to do is explain it properly to my very intelligent parents and very intelligent siblings, and that they would at least, if not agree with me and follow me in what I was doing, that they would at least understand me. And it became very clear that they are not in a position to understand these things, and they're very intelligent people, but the very idea that Mormonism might not be true is so threatening to them that they simply cannot grasp the information that relates to that subject.
Leaving the church is hard because you are so afraid of what's going to happen to you. And you don't have any examples of that because people leave the church and they scurry away. You know, like you don't know, when you're in the church, you do not know ex-Mormons. You don't know them. And so I anyway was really afraid of leaving the church because I was like, no way, this can't be real. What will I do with my life if I leave the church? Who am I going to be, right? And so I think that fear keeps a lot of people either consciously or subconsciously in the church.
After I came to my own inner acceptance that the church was not what it claims, then I went into a deep depression. As I had been taught in the church, to not be a member of the church meant that now all kinds of bad things are going to happen, and now you will become addicted to substances and you won't be good parents, and so I had that ingrained in me quite deeply that I actually believed that. I believed that we couldn't be good parents. I believed that I couldn't be a good mother without Mormonism.
It's a hard transition to leave the Mormon Church. It's a complete social circle. It's not just the religious aspect. The Mormon Church is involved in every aspect of a family's life, a person's life.
There's a feeling when you're a member of the church that people who walk away have tipped over the first domino, and cataclysms will result. As it happens, those cataclysms don't have anything to do, in my mind, with whether Joseph Smith always told the truth or not. It would be the same as if you left the Jehovah's Witnesses, or you tried to escape from the Jonestown colony or the Branch Davidians. When you leave it, it's very difficult.
It's not been as easy as I thought it would be leaving the Mormon Church. It's a very tight social network. I realized the degree to which many of my associations and friendships were based on the church.
I lost every single one of them, and these were friends I'd had to my home 1,000 times.
I would say that anyone that's contemplating leaving the church, there will be a period of pain. There's no doubt you have to go through enormous adjustments. It's not that simple.
When you leave the church, there are certain parts you're going to miss at first, and there's going to be a big hole. As a convert, I had the advantage of my family welcoming me back. I feel really sorry for some people who grow up in the church and leave because they don't have that.
My family was wonderfully supportive. Because I was a convert, none of my family members, mother, father, brothers, none of them are members of the church. And so it was really a time for celebration, but some sadness because I loved the students that I had. I'm a former bishop and I loved the ward members and saw them frequently and downtown and in the stores. I loved the CES colleagues that I worked with, and I still treasure those relationships and those good, fine people. And I know that they're disappointed in me in a lot of ways. But that's because, as I've told them before I left and told them since, that loyalty is more important than honesty to them and to the church. And to me, I had to be honest and true to my own ethics and values.